Paddy Pimblett is not elite. He just lost a one-sided fight to Justin Gaethje, and somehow people are calling it a moral victory. That's not growth, that's lowering the standard. The fight wasn't about Paddy Pimblett. It was about what happens when the new era runs headfirst into a brick wall that is the best group of fighters the UFC has ever had in a single division. That doesn't make Paddy Pimblett a bad fighter, it shows how hard the bar still is. He ran headfirst into a standard built by Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira. UFC 324 didn't crown the future. It reminded us who built the division. Now, Gaethje sits with an interim belt and a collision course with Ilia Topuria. So the real question is simple. Can the old standard survive what comes next? Because what walked into that cage wasn't a fading contender. It was the same Justin Gaethje that built this division on chaos and violence. All in all, the fight at UFC 324, the main event, Justin Gaethje absolutely showed out against Paddy Pimblett. I mean, it was one of those fights where you're like, oh my goodness, y'all must have forgot, because Justin Gaethje is absolutely him. Wow, I can't lie to you guys, like that was one of the most fun fights I've watched in a long time. And I said it in the live stream last night, how I thought that this fight was better than most fights that I've seen in a very long time. And after sleeping on it and going through the rest of the day, I still think that's one of the better fights we've seen in forever. I mean, the last time I could think of a fight that good, like I can't even remember what a fight that was that closely contended and that, you know, with such high stakes as it were. You got like the Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira fights, you know, you've got that. You've got Max Holloway doing his thing. Max and Dustin, that's the last one. And even that was kind of like a Max Holloway is just doing what he does. The old Gaethje came out. I miss the old Gaethje, the throw and blow Gaethje. Whoa, pause, time out, huh? He really did a good job of like making the fight ugly and daring Paddy Pimblett to deal with it. He's like, dude, you're going to have to deal with it. If this is something you want to do, if you want to be an interim champ, if you want to get through the GOAT that is Justin Gaethje, you're going to have to go through Justin Gaethje. Like, I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? If you want to get through Justin Gaethje, you got to go through Justin Gaethje. Y'all get it. But anyways, he did. He brought it out. He made the fight ugly. He made it a difficult fight for Paddy Pimblett. And if Paddy Pimblett was going to do something great, he was going to have to go to war. He was going to have to go through the fire. And that's what makes a champion, right? You have to be able to go through the fire. Otherwise, you're Cody Garbrandt getting blasted by TJ Dillashaw after a strong performance against Dominic Cruz. You know, you're not a Mighty Mouse. You're a one and done like Magomed Ankalaev, who backed himself to the fence after beating Alex Pereira only to get offed by Alex Pereira. It's one of those, and Justin Gaethje himself said it, like champions go forward, and that's what champions do. So that's what I went and did. He really did just pull out the old Justin Gaethje. And I can't say that I hated it. Honestly, I missed the old Justin Gaethje. And like, we're going to go back and watch the career of Justin Gaethje one day. We're going to go back and when it's all done, when we're past everything and he's done for the day, you know, he's hung up the gloves. We're going to go back and watch it. Like, wow, he was special. Like the whole Vince McMahon meme, like crying and stuff, like that's what we're going to feel like when it comes to Justin Gaethje. Because I was talking to my buddy Blaine, also named Blaine, about it. You've got two of the greatest fighters ever in the lightweight division to never win a title, because that goes to show you just how good that lightweight division is. Like we talked about at the top. Like this crop of lightweights is the best to ever do it. There's never been a better group of fighters. You got the end of like Dos Anjos and Cerrone. You've got Khabib, Conor, Eddie Alvarez. You've got Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. You've got Islam. And you've got Justin Gaethje. I'm probably forgetting somebody. I mean, you Dan Hook, like, shut up. No. But that is the best group of lightweights there's ever been. That might be the best group of singular fighters in any division. Like, it doesn't get more stacked than that. Can you remember the before there was the BMF title, do you remember the King of Violence title, where it was like Eddie Alvarez claimed to be the King of Violence, and he was the champion, and he fought Justin Gaethje, and beat Gaethje, and then Dustin Poirier was like, I'll fight him, and Poirier kind of ended it by you know, beating Eddie Alvarez. And it's like, hey, I'm not worried about no King of Violence title. I'm worried about the UFC title. Y'all remember the King of Violence? It was this group that brought that. You know, this group brought all of that. Incredible. And what's crazy is, like, as long in the tooth as Justin Gaethje is, and if there's any fighter in the UFC that is long in the tooth, it's Justin Gaethje. As long in the tooth as he was, he's bringing new things to the game. So, like, the front headlock, for example. We know that Justin Gaethje is NCAA wrestler. A very good one at that. We know this. And he still goes out and adds new things. He's like, hey, I can do this because Paddy Pimblett's throwing his head weird off the jab and trying to roll under like this with his head down. And that allows Justin Gaethje to grab a headlock and just drag him to the ground. He did that like twice or 3 times in this fight. You know, and we still see things that are like, you know, Justin Gaethje could do this better. But at 37, you know, a year and a half, 2 years left, like, is he going to change? Like the low kicks, for example. We know the low kicks really bothered him. And he's changed in his approach to it. But he's not going to catch a low kick. Like, Justin Gaethje's just not catching low kicks. That's not something that he does. Like, if you think Justin Gaethje's going to catch a low kick, you're out of your mind. Like, check a low kick. He caught a couple low kicks. Like, for example, he caught one, put it in his arm, and comes with a lead left hook. Knocked Paddy Pimblett down with it. The durability of Justin Gaethje is crazy, too. He took a beating, and he's always taking beatings. Like, it's going to be through the fire and the flames. Literally, like, Dragon Force could be playing in the back. Through the fire and the flames with Justin Gaethje. He's always in a war. Always in a war. It's always just the warrior mindset for him. And, like, make no mistake about it, Paddy Pimblett landed some good shots. And he's not the heaviest puncher. No, not at all by any means. But still, he was landing. And that doesn't give me confidence for, like, the future for Justin Gaethje. But at the same time, it's like the durability of Justin Gaethje is incredible. And it does present some interesting questions when you think about the future. That is Ilia Topuria. But so was Max Holloway. Alexander Volkanovski, you know. There's all these fighters that are incredibly durable until they run up against a guy who throws a mean left to the body and then comes up top with a right hand. Places it perfectly just off the chin. You know. I did that right, kids? Wait, no. It's, I got a 13-year-old, I know. But yeah, it's still, like, and we do have to take let's take a step back here for a second. Paddy Pimblett is better than I gave him credit for. I said this in the live stream also. Paddy Pimblett's better than I gave him credit for because Paddy Pimblett is tougher than I thought. I always thought of him baby soft, you know, like, oh, I can't finish this, I'm going to give up. I thought of him as a quitter. Now, there was no quit in him against Justin Gaethje, you know. Very tough and a lot of punishment, but he didn't give up despite, you know, the fight clearly not going his way from very early on. And he even rallied in that 3rd round. And looked like, oh, Justin Gaethje's exhausted. He has that staph infection on his neck. Like, Paddy might take over here, but no, he didn't. That didn't stop Paddy Pimblett, though. He did some bad things, like, you know, he didn't stay with the low kicks on his game plan and things of that nature. But at the same time, like, what more can you ask for him when he's being pushed back constantly to defense? Because, like, kicking off your back foot is not easy. Like, not everybody's Natalia Silva, right? Kicking off your back foot is not easy. Paddy Pimblett was forced to do that, or he was forced to say, hey, can you do this? And couldn't quite get it done. You know? So even though he fought incredibly tough, incredibly courageous, you know, you could say all the cliche things in the book about Paddy Pimblett, he still lost. And that shows us just how good that era of, like, Justin Gaethje was. Now, granted, Paddy Pimblett was getting better. Think about the Jared Gordon fight. That's not that long ago. It was 22. That's longer than I thought. But think about the Jared Gordon fight. Like, he's gotten a lot better. His jab is really good, and he throws a nice rear uppercut now. He caught Justin Gaethje several times with that uppercut. I mean, he took that punishment, and he still stuck somewhat to the game plan he set out to do. And we're going to be talking about game plans in a minute with, like, Sean O'Malley and Arnold Allen. But Pimblett did a good job sticking what he thought he needed to do. You know, and when it comes to a fighter like Justin Gaethje, who does have, like, 1 or 2 game plans, He can make some mid-fight adjustments with Trevor Whitman in his corner if he listens. But, like, you're going to have to fail Justin Gaethje by repeatedly bashing the legs. That's what Dustin Poirier did. Or taking him down. Like, Paddy's probably not capable of taking him down. Like, Justin's notoriously hard to take down. Oliveira. Did Oliveira take him? I don't even think Oliveira did. Khabib. You know? Notoriously hard to take down. The low kicks, like, he started setting up the low kicks very early on to score that takedown and just couldn't get enough damage, couldn't get enough of a reaction out of Gaethje to do so. But there were moments where Justin Gaethje was, like, overextending, and if Paddy Pimblett would have realized, like, hey, if I can get him to overextend, lean out the way, and while he's overextending, instead of looking for a punch, get to a body lock, like, he could have done that. He could have. But, you know, Pimblett still struggles with the elite. You look at, like, the lightweight rankings, and you see Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia at the top, and you're like, those are clearly the two best guys. Like, both of those guys might have beat Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett the same night. Like, probably wouldn't have been a problem for either of them. But, like, Oliveira, Holloway, like, no, Paddy's not beating him. Like, he's at number 5, firmly where he needs to be. Like, he beats Dan Hooker at 6. Benoit Saint-Denis is an interesting fight because of the size. You know, Paddy doesn't have quite a bunch of a size advantage because he dwarfed Justin Gaethje in this fight. You look at Fares Ziam, who's coming up, Manuel Torres, you know, you got some really good fighters coming up. But this previous era is that good to where even at this old age, like, Max isn't even in that era, but he's, like, making himself known now. So he's where he's supposed to be, and if he keeps getting better, and he's only 31, ain't got much time left, but he, you know, a 3-fight win streak will get him there. You know, he rebounds with 3 straight fights, and he'll get a title shot. It's just gonna have to beat a boogeyman like Charles Oliveira, which the scrambles will be fun. Justin Gaethje's earned the title shot, and it's gonna be Ilia or Arman Tsarukyan. Both likely batter Justin Gaethje. Both likely beat him quite convincingly, if you want to know the truth. I don't think they're close fights. Like, Arman's going to go out there and say, oh, Justin Gaethje, your takedown defense is good, but you struggled against Khabib. Watch how Khabib like I am. And I think Arman Tsarukyan takes him down fairly easy. And guess what? Not many people have the ground and pound that Arman has. So once he gets on top, like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And then, obviously, like, the amount that Ilia Topuria landed on, or not Ilia, listen to me, the amount that Paddy Pimblett landed on Justin Gaethje doesn't leave me a lot of faith with Ilia Topuria. It doesn't leave me a lot of faith because, like, if Paddy Pimblett can land on you like that, what will the crisp boxer Ilia Topuria do? Now, there's some interesting things here. Like, Justin Gaethje could very much attack the legs of Topuria. He's going to have to be aware of the counter coming back at him because there will be a right hand coming right after the low kicks. But if he can... Ilia Topuria is, like, so heavy on that lead foot because of his boxing style. If he can batter those legs, beat them up, he has a really good shot at winning that. You know, he's hobbled the power base of Ilia Topuria to where maybe you can take some of the movement away and you can take some of the power out of him. And then you can really make it sloppy and get to work. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Topuria is going to be too good. And a Volkanovski, Holloway, Oliveira, Gaethje run for Topuria might be one of the best 4-fight. It might be the best 4-fight streak of all time. Now, if Justin Gaethje represents brute force and endurance, Sean O'Malley represents something else entirely. Distance, timing, and intention. He beat Song Yadong via unanimous decision in what probably earned him a title shot, even though he might not get it. Song Yadong is not ready for the level of competition or the type of fight that Sean O'Malley brings to the table. Okay? Sean O'Malley is too cerebral of a fighter for what Song Yadong was trying to do. I think Song Yadong could beat Sean O'Malley twice out of 10. Sean O'Malley, as cerebral and smart of a fighter as he is, was ready for the limited amount of dynamics that Song Yadong was going to bring to the table. And it was fairly clear what Song Yadong was going to try and do. He's looking for that great left hook that he got. He's going to hobble the motion of Sean O'Malley with the low kicks, something that may seem fabled now that his legs are weak. And then he was going to look for takedowns. If you can hobble the legs for takedowns, if you can slow Sean O'Malley down where you can get a hold to him because of his lateral movement, both left and right, you can actually have success against him. And that's where Petr Yan will have success, but more on that later. Yadong can do more than what he showed. But the variety, the tenacity of Sean O'Malley, he brought forth a game plan that was just there to overload Song Yadong. The Anderson Silva game plan, or the Israel Adesanya game plan, these virtuosos, the Khabib game plan, where it's like, I'm very, very, very good at what I do, and I'm going to hurt you in the way I want to do it. That's their game plan through and through, and that's what Sean O'Malley brings to the table every fight. And you either got fighters like Chito Vera who are like, or Merab, like, or it's technicians like Petr Yan who can really work with him, or Corey Sandhagen who can really not be freaked out mentally about that. Sean O'Malley's like anti-wrestling. He does a great job negating with just lateral movement. And like, if that's key to your game plan, kick the legs, look for a left hook, have him thinking about the left hook, duck on the hips. If your left hook's never a threat, you've lost. And that's exactly what Song Yadong did. He lost. Whiffing all night. He couldn't establish the wrestling threat with the low kicks. And he needed that takedown to really kind of get Sean's respect, because it wasn't going to be with his striking. Kick the legs, look for the left hook, duck on the hips. You want Sean O'Malley to either be hobbled enough to where he's like, oh yeah, or the left hook, you can and roll under it, grab the hips, take him down. That's the game plan. And if you can't do that, it was like, okay, and there was nothing more to it than that, which is crazy. And when you're fighting a guy like Sean O'Malley, you're going to need game plan B, game plan C, maybe even game plan D. You're going to need all of that. Sean's a great game planner, and he has several different phases of his game he can work. There's the beginning phase where he kind of feels you out. There is the pressing the attack phase. There's the tricking you into thinking you can press the attack phase. There's the tired phase. He has game plans for every single step of a fight. And for Song Yadong to come in the biggest opportunity of his career and only have one game plan, that's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. If you're going to come against the elite game plans, you have to be ready. And shame on Faber and everybody else that put him in that situation. Shame on them. They set Song Yadong up to lose. It's not as simple as kick his legs, look for the left hook, dip on the hips. It can't be that anymore. Not at this level. If you want to get to the next level, you have to have more than one game plan. So now we're looking down the barrel at Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan 2. Petr Yan obviously captured the title last November or December, whenever it was, in a stunning upset of Merab Dvalishvili. Sean O'Malley, he looked okay, but Yan's going to be much craftier. So if you look back to that first fight, those two guys kind of, struggled with what each other brought to the table. But Yan's much better and Sean O'Malley's not. Sean O'Malley's much worse of a fighter. His mental fortitude is in his way, and it might be different in a rematch versus Petr Yan. But this Sean that fight is not as good as the Sean O'Malley that fought Petr Yan the first time, that captured his title shot. Actually, I didn't get to watch that fight live. My daughter was being born that day. Over 5 rounds, though, Petr Yan gets better. Over 5 rounds, Sean O'Malley doesn't. He gets tired. He gets lax. Petr Yan may finish Sean O'Malley. Put a stamp out to that whole rivalry. And you watch Song Yadong, and he didn't evolve at all in the fight. And he lost. And that's the risk of not evolving in a fight. Arnold Allen ran straight into it. he lost to John Silva via unanimous decision, and his failure to evolve also cost him a fight, but not in the same way Song Yadong. They were way different. You watch that first round of John Silva and Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen was having his way with John Silva. Had a great game plan, but his lack of adjustments, his lack of anticipation of John Silva being like, okay, I need to do something different, and actually doing something different cost him that fight. I'm willing to bet there's only two modes of fighting John Silva has. It's the, I'm going to counter you and catch you as you come in on the counter. I'm going to push forward and then make you counter. You know, he pushes you forward. He wants you to go. When he feels like he can counter you off of his forward pressure that causes you to strike, he does so. And then there's the one we saw against Diego Lopez and Arnold Allen, like, oh man, this isn't working. They're too crafty. There's something I can't handle with this or whatever. I'm just going to have to get in there and get in his face and fight him. I'm willing to bet it doesn't go any further than that. And if you have like a Max Holloway type fighter where it's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Oh, you're going to keep coming forward. Please do. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Arnold Allen can put that forward, that kind of a game plan forward. He looked great. He had the timing. He had the distance. The jab came in handy. So did his left cross. It really did give John Silva fits early in the fight. But like Yadong, like, he needed at least a plan B. He couldn't watch that Diego Lopez fight and be like, oh, this is all there is to it. Like, he's just going to bring this one game plan. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. John Silva's going to have to eventually get in your face like a barking dog. And that's what he did. He made it a dogfight, pun intended. That's terrible. Oh, I can't believe I had to say that one. His best weapon are his elbows, and he showed, though, that even though those are his best weapons, he didn't actually need them. He didn't need them. He made the fight dirty. That might actually be his best weapon now. But he did. He got in the grill of Arnold Allen, the guy who wanted to keep him on the end of his punches, on the end of his kicks, you know, the push kick to the body. John Silva's like, okay, I'm just going to have to get within range, and maybe I get hit, but I'm willing to bet I can hit you harder. And John Silva did hit Arnold Allen harder. You know, he made the fight dirty. His elbows weren't quite there, but like his game plan B was to get in his grill if I can't counter him, if he's too slick. That was the move, and he did it. Allen didn't have a plan B. That's all it took. His adjustments and his willingness to bite down on the mouthpiece, that's what really got him over in this fight. That's what won him this fight. Instead of trying to like counter Arnold Allen, instead of trying to, you know, be like he was in the first round, he got in, got dirty, and won. Pressing Allen to the fence really did like a good job of taking away the escape, because like Arnold Allen can't go backwards now because he's against the fence. So the same thing like Alex Pereira did a good job of in his middleweight run of like, if you think about that Adesanya fight, there's only two ways Adesanya could go once Pereira had him pressing against the fence: into his power hand or into his left hook power hand. Eventually Adesanya went to that right side, Pereira's left, and the left hook knocked him down. Won him the title. Then, of course, there was the surfing, which was kind of cool. I guess he said he was oil farming, which, you know, whatever. That's funny. I get it. But, man, you know, Arnold, I said, I'm not a surfboard mate. And I was like, that's funny. That's good. But all in all, like, John Silva looked great. And fantastic win for him. Arnold Allen's a very, very tricky fighter. A very, very good fighter. One that a lot of people struggle with. So I was happy to see John Silva get back in the win column, because, like, the Diego Lopez fight was a hard fight, and you can bang John Silva out, as we've seen. But Arnold Allen's not that type of fighter. Instead, you have to be a smarter fighter, and John Silva was the smarter fighter on the night. Now, not all wins are created equal. Whereas John Silva won the crowd, Umar Nurmagomedov won his fight against Deiveson Figueiredo, a unanimous decision. And those two things didn't mean the same on this card. Umar Nurmagomedov looked much worse than Sean O'Malley did against a fighter that's about the same caliber at this point. Petr Yan might even just rematch Merab after all this. Like, what gets me the most money? What gets me paid more? It might be that. After those two horrible performances, I mean, let's be real, like, Sean O'Malley looked great against Song Yadong. He's probably going to get the title shot because that's what the UFC wants, and Petr Yan wants that back. But, like, after these last two performances from Umar Nurmagomedov, who looked absolutely dreadful, I don't see him getting it. He's going to need another win, and that's going to need to be over like he's already beat Corey. Like, I don't know who he can beat. Like, book him and Merab again, co-main event. You can get rid of one of those contenders for Petr Yan, because I know UFC probably doesn't like either of them. Doesn't like their fighting style. So, like, I don't know, man. Once he got to the ground, like, he did control Deiveson Figueiredo. But, like, unlike Khabib, it's not like ground and pound heavy dominates you. It's nothing like that. Instead, it's more along the lines of, like, Jailton Almeida, where I'm just going to control you. Like, there's a sub-threat there. You can be submitted, but, like, if you're a smart fighter, like Deiveson Figueiredo, as old as he is smart. If you're a smart fighter, you can negate that and kind of survive the rounds and live to fight another day. Like, you fight the choking hand and just get into a better spot than what you previously were. It's kind of what you do, you know. You deal with the kicks, and the kicks flummoxed Deiveson Figueiredo. You know, he's a shell from what he was his flyweight days. He really is. He's not that good of a fighter anymore. And it's a shame, because you go back and watch, like, the Joseph Benavidez fights, or the Brendan Moreno quadrilogy, and the Alex Perez fight, who got a win on this card. You go watch those fights, and you're like, man, he was special. He was very good, and we didn't realize it at the time. But, like, he lived up to his nickname, the Deus de Guerrero, God of War. He did. He lived up to that. And now he's just not. And that just shows you how good he was, that he's out there competing with these guys. This wasn't a close fight for sure. I felt Umar clearly won this. But, like, the scrambles don't work. You know, Dagestani wrestling, they've got a system down to where it's like, you know, Jack Della tried the octopus guard against Islam. That didn't work. You can't be a big, goofy dork like Dricus du Plessis. That won't work. You know, the Dagestani wrestling negates any scrambles by design. Position over submission. That's their thing. They don't want you to scramble up. They want you to just stay there. And Umar does a good job of that. You know, he can hold you there. And he is a problem for anyone at flyweight. But, like, if you flyweight at bantamweight, you look at him versus Petr Yan, a fight which hasn't happened yet. That is a fresh matchup. You look at that, and it kind of makes sense that Petr Yan would win, but maybe like 6 out of 10, you know. His kicks might give Petr Yan some problems, but Petr Yan is no stranger to dealing with kicks. You know, it's nothing new for him at all to deal with crazy weird kicks. The Taekwondo style of kicks, you know, they're gonna hurt, but, like, you can deal with them. And you watch him against Umar there, you watch him against against Figueiredo, against Mario Batista, and you tell me, like, Petr Yan couldn't go in there and start to really run away with the fight. You know, you watch that. So I think Yan beats Umar maybe 6 times out of 10. I'm fairly confident in that one. Also on this card, let's see. Waldor Cortez Acosta knocked out Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, 40 years old, just looked terrible. He got hit by a jab and kind of just laid there. Actually, he laid there a couple times this fight. Yeah. Round 2, ground and pound. Natalia Silva continued to prove that Rose Namajunas is an extremely overrated fighter who's managed to rise to the occasion a total of 4 times in her career. Rose Namajunas is not that good. Neither is Natalia Silva, but at 25-1, she's likely getting the title shot against Valentina Shevchenko next. Just a lot of volume, and Rose Namajunas coasting despite being a absolute prodigy when she puts herself to work. But, like, she's with Pat Barry and left Trevor Whitman for Pat freaking Barry. Pat Barry's from Louisiana, and I don't even claim him. Like, I'm good. You know, I am good. Atiba Gauthier went to the decision with Andrei Pulayev. Interesting. Gauthier kind of gassed himself out, beating him up. Nikita Krylov knocked out Modestas Bukauskas. Alex Perez broke everybody's heart and knocked out Charles Johnson in the first round despite missing weight. Josh Hogan gave Denzel Freeman, like, the bird, I guess. Gave him the bird, and it knocked him out. It was like 4:59 in round 1, hurt him. Freeman falls to the ground, and ref calls it off right as the buzzer beats. And Josh Hogan, as cringy as he is, was giving him the finger and just walking away. It's a really kind of an aura-farming moment, if you want to know the truth, for, like, professional fighters. But, yeah, so I enjoyed that. And then, obviously, Ty Miller knocked out Adam Fuggett. Round 1, right hook and a knee. Kind of a All in all, though, I'm happy to be back. Paramount Plus was fun. The production was great, and I can't wait to see more. If this is the kind of MMA conversation that you actually enjoy, context, history, and not just shouting opinions, hit like and subscribe. That is what we do here. If you want these breakdowns in a written form, plus deeper essays and bonus content, you can always find all of that on my Substack in the description. And if you want to support the channel directly, there's a premium tier with exclusive posts and early access. Fight Finders is my documentary project about world of fighting beyond the UFC. Old gems, local legends, different sports, all the stories that shaped these sports before they became billion-dollar businesses. You can catch that here.